Hello and welcome to module number 1 of the Marketer's Guide to Gaming Culture. Please complete the entire Gaming Marketing Made Simple course before proceeding, as this content depends on key concepts and models covered therein. In this module we will explore how brands and marketers can inspire action through culture. Then we will break down the different layers of video game culture. After that we will explore how the fighting game community contributes to gaming's cultural layers. Finally, we will recap key concepts and models you need to retain. That said, let's get started. Culture shapes attitudes and beliefs, both of which motivate people to act in certain ways. As a result, effective marketing communications can tap into culture to inspire action. For example, Nike's Air Force 1 is one of the best-selling shoes of all time. However, its initial commercial success was due to a connection to hip-hop culture. In that, Air Force 1 was a fashion mainstay in hip-hop culture through the 2000s, highlighted by consistent lyrical mentions from rap artists like Jay-Z and Nelly. As the music genre's mainstream popularity exploded, more people bought the shoe due to its cultural cachet in hip-hop fashion. Tapping into culture takes on different dimensions when it comes to the worldwide gaming community, however. The good news is effective gaming marketing is already steeped in video game culture. That's because, as we've already established in previous learning modules, gaming marketing is the practice of tapping into and/or creating game experience touchpoints. And, as we will illustrate in later modules, those touchpoints are themselves integral to gaming culture. Along those lines, you won't need to learn all the nuances of gaming culture. Instead, we will show that effective gaming marketing is enough to inspire action through video game culture. Culture is a deep and broad phenomenon. So, to simplify the concept, we will apply aspects of Dutch psychologist Geert Hofstede's work. Hofstede developed a cultural dimensions theory from a worldwide survey of employee values at IBM in the mid-1960s and early 1970s. His cultural onion model helped describe and compare cultures associated with that theory. It described culture as a layered onion consisting of symbols, heroes, rituals and values. Hofstede also suggested outsiders can observe these through a culture's practices. Now, let's adapt the onion model to gaming. To do so, we will explore the fighting game community, or FGC, for short. But first, let's establish that the FGC's practices, as well as all cultural practices in the gaming community, are themselves gaming behaviors. Let's also clarify that the fighting game genre includes titles like Street Fighter, Tekken and Mortal Kombat, among others. Where the FGC represents a diverse population who experience those games through and beyond gameplay. The same fighting game titles are primarily competitive, since the game genre is centered on fast-paced 1-versus-1 action, where each match produces a winner and loser. Likewise, the FGC's values are the beliefs and principles stemming from these competitive gaming behaviors. That means values like becoming the best, improving personal performance, and so forth are core to the community. Keep in mind these values are not unique to the FGC. Where fighting games are generally classed within the esports community of other competitive-oriented game titles. Mostly because there are notable similarities. However, the FGC, like all game communities, contributes its own unique flavor. For instance, most fighting game titles are console-based. That platform is more accessible to different income brackets than PC gaming. So, the community attracts different demographics, with different offline cultural backgrounds. These differences influence how the community's values are expressed. We will discuss how offline backgrounds influence gaming culture in an upcoming module. But for now, it suffices that you should always examine if a game community's values match your message tone and your brand's values. Rituals are collective activities that hold shared meaning. For example, the Evolution Championship Series, EVO, is the largest and most prestigious fighting game tournament in the world. The event is an annual ritual in the FGC, since it brings together players and fans from around the globe to enjoy competition in various fighting game titles each year. Heroes are people living or dead, real or imaginary, who possess highly prized characteristics. As a result, they serve as role models for others. In the FGC and beyond, influencers and other notable personalities serve as heroes. For instance, Justin Wong has competed as a professional Street Fighter player since the early 2000s. Today, he is a widely respected figure or hero in the FGC. Symbols are words, gestures, images or objects that carry meaning. The Hadouken is an iconic in-game attack in Capcom's Street Fighter series. So much so, the word and associated images have become symbolic of Street Fighter and fighting games, in general. It has even crossed over into pop culture nomenclature, where a British band is named after the move. On top of that, Hadouken even inspired a viral meme in 2013. Now, let's clarify that different game communities, including the FGC, contribute certain values, rituals, heroes and symbols to gaming culture, such that every time someone experiences a gaming behavior, they are, in fact, participating in gaming culture. Once again, you, as a marketer, don't need to grasp every single aspect of that culture to inspire action from gaming audiences. Instead, you can focus on selecting effective game experience touchpoints. To recap, culture is a powerful driver of human behavior. So, effective marketing can tap into culture to inspire action. Geert Hofstede's onion model helps understand gaming culture as a set of values, rituals, heroes and symbols, all of which stem from game communities like the FGC. Hello and welcome to module number 2 of the Marketer's Guide to Gaming Culture. Please complete the first module before proceeding. In this module we will clarify how culture works in gaming marketing. Then, we will review how Chipotle won authenticity with the fighting game community. Finally, we will recap key concepts and models you need to retain. That said, let's get started. In the previous module, we established that the fighting game community, FGC, for short, contributes unique elements to gaming's cultural layers. We also established the experience of gaming behaviors is synonymous with experiencing gaming culture. That's why effective gaming marketing doesn't specifically focus on culture, since relevance to how audiences experience those behaviors, through touchpoints, is the same as relevance to gaming culture. Now, let's clarify that cultural relevance is key to authenticity with gaming audiences. That's because audiences experience gaming behaviors through those cultural layers. In other words, audiences experience moments and emotions through the lens of a game community's values, rituals, heroes and symbols. Touchpoints ensure campaigns are authentic to those cultural layers. They also empower brands and marketers to add value to game experiences. To demonstrate, let's explore activations from Chipotle's FGC program led by Rev XP, the gaming subset of sports marketing agency Revolution. In 2023, Rev. XP led the FGC program for Chipotle, an American fast casual restaurant. The program featured innovative activations on channels in and beyond gameplay. One in-game activation tapped into fighter coins. A fighter coin is the in-game currency for Street Fighter VI, used to purchase in-game cosmetics and access customization services. There is no way to earn fighter coins in-game, so players must purchase them with real-world currency. Plus, some in-game items can only be purchased with fighter coins. In other words, Street Fighter VI introduced what is called microtransactions. Given that Capcom already priced Street Fighter VI at nearly $60 upon its release, the Street Fighter VI player base did not receive the microtransaction model well. Some went so far as to label it predatory. This sentiment is shared across the gaming community, however. Many gamers see microtransactions as a money grab, especially in games that are not free to play. Since if you already paid to purchase a game and then must spend more to get certain things, rather than earning it in the game, it further detracts from the experience. As a result, microtransactions are generally viewed as a negative symbol within gaming culture, even though they play a functional role in gameplay experiences. That means Chipotle had to get creative when tapping into virtual currency. Since fighter coins weren't a highly esteemed symbol like the Hadoken, for example. So, the activation, in partnership with Street Fighter VI publisher Capcom, offered 20,000 promotional codes for use on the Chipotle app or chipotle.com. Each code was worth 250 fighter coins. Most importantly, the promo codes empowered players to earn fighter coins by performing an action, as opposed to paying for them. That action successfully removed the negative microtransaction association from the touchpoint. As a result, the campaign, according to Capcom senior brand marketing manager Jacqueline Simmons in a Digiday article, had a 100% redemption rate of fighter coins. The layered nature of virtual currency illustrates that digital games are experienced through a cultural filter. It also shows how touchpoints are instrumental in adding value to a game experience. Since to level up Street Fighter's playable experience, Chipotle needed to either tap into an existing part or create a new part of the experience. Chipotle also offered viewer rewards on Twitch. The program gave 500,000 free chips and guac to Chipotle Rewards members who watched more than 1 hour of Street Fighter VI live streams on participating Twitch channels. The inclusion of existing Twitch channels meant Chipotle was tapping into around game touchpoints. Since sharing and viewing video game live streams is an around game behavior, this was an effective technique because the FGC values competition as a healthy form of social interaction. As a result, improving your own gameplay and/or helping others improve theirs is a key motivator for gaming behaviors on channels like Twitch, where Twitch live streaming within the FGC is more than random media behavior. It is also an expression of competition-inspired values. That's one reason Street Fighter VI alone has accounted for over 100 million Twitch viewing hours since its official release in June 2023, according to Sully Gnome. We see the same dynamics outside the FGC, where half of the top 10 game titles watched on Twitch in 2023 are also competitively focused. Those 5 games alone accounted for over 3.9 billion hours, about 440,000 years, of watch time in 2023. So, Chipotle's viewer rewards did more than show up where audiences spend their time. It also resonated with values like becoming the best and improving personal performance. As a result, it was authentic to gaming culture within the FGC and beyond. Most importantly, as a marketer, you don't need to know every single cultural element at play. You only need to understand how your touchpoints are relevant to culture, since that relevance is the source of authenticity with gaming audiences. As mentioned in the previous module, EVO is one of the biggest events within the FGC. So, Chipotle's 2023 EVO activation included an on-site community lounge. The location was equipped with charging stations, seating and a Street Fighter 6X Chipotle custom photo wall. EVO is also a widely recognized cultural ritual within the gaming community, to the tune of attracting over 9,000 registered players, representing 71 countries, who competed at the event. Viewership also topped 7 million hours watched with a peak viewership of 440K, according to the analytics provider Esports Charts. The creation of an away-from-game touchpoint, in the form of an on-site community lounge, is an effective method of weaving brand presence into a gaming cultural ritual. The touchpoint played a big role in inspiring the EVO crowd to cheer loudly every time a Chipotle ad appeared on the big screen. EVO's success even caught the attention of officials in its host city of Las Vegas, Nevada. On Finals Day, August 6, EVO founders Tom and Tony Cannon were awarded the key to Las Vegas. The governor of Nevada also officially named August 6 as EVO Day in Nevada. Those accolades demonstrate that gaming culture can and does influence mainstream culture and society. Chipotle then continued its 2023 momentum with a specially tailored spot for the 2024 EVO announcement show. The ad was also a playful reference to what is referred to as EVO Moment 37, one of the most iconic and impressive feats of esports skill ever caught on camera. The spot made light of the iconic moment in a Street Fighter 3 match held at EVO 2004 between two fighting game legends, Daigo, the Beast, Umehara and Justin, J. Wong, who both appeared in the ad. EVO Moment 37 was just one part of the Beast's and J. Wong's career contributions to the FGC. Those same careers have transformed both into the equivalent of heroes. Keep in mind that game communities don't define heroes by their follow accounts on social media platforms. Rather, hero status stems from playing a meaningful part in a game experience. In other words, all heroes, whether living or otherwise, are permanent game experience touchpoints. Likewise, cultural heroes like the Beast and J. Wong provide immediate credibility to marketing messages, not just access to their fans or audience. Where Chipotle's ad tapped into that credibility to execute an ad that was authentic to FGC-inspired gaming culture. Now, let's review key concepts and models. For starters, Chipotle's successful brand integration within the FGC is often labeled esports marketing, since fighting games are competitive. However, competition is part of, not separate from, gaming culture. That means Chipotle's activations were a form of gaming marketing. Most importantly, the same model of touchpoints and their connection to culture applies to any type of gaming campaign. Towards that end, gaming audiences experience moments and emotions through the lens of a game community's values, rituals, heroes and symbols. Touchpoints ensure your message is authentic, which is another way of saying relevant to those gaming cultural layers. Chipotle tapped into existing or created game experience touchpoints all throughout its FGC program. The same touchpoints also leveled up the game experience. We also established that media behaviors on platforms like Twitch express gaming culture. Where Chipotle's Twitch viewer rewards resonated with competition-inspired values in the FGC and beyond. Culture exists within game communities and beyond. In that, gaming culture is the eclectic collection of elements from all game communities. That means there is no dominant group of values, rituals, heroes, and symbols. It's also possible for gaming to influence mainstream culture. For instance, EVO's success as a gaming community ritual has crossed over into mainstream culture. Finally, we showed that heroes are more than their social media followings. They are permanent touchpoints for a game experience. Hello and welcome to Module 3 of the Marketer's Guide to Gaming Culture. Please complete the first and second modules before proceeding. This learning content will cover how cultural worldviews affect gaming marketing, an overview of Dove's Real Virtual Beauty Gaming Initiative, plus how to avoid cultural missteps with gaming campaigns. Finally, we will recap key concepts and models you need to retain. That said, let's get started. Unilever's Dove brand is a household name when it comes to skincare products. In 2004, Dove launched the Real Beauty campaign, a pioneering initiative that sought to challenge and redefine traditional beauty standards. Instead of featuring professional models seen in most beauty advertisements, Real Beauty featured real women to showcase a diverse range of body types, ages, and ethnicities. Most importantly, the campaign was a breakthrough success. Where the Dove Real Beauty Sketches, a 3-minute film short, is the most viewed video ad on YouTube with over 165 million views. The same film won 19 awards at Cannes Lions. Dove's revenues also jumped from $2.5 billion to $4 billion in the campaign's first 10 years. Real Beauty, which is still deeply relevant 20 years later, sought to redefine beauty standards that leave many women feeling inadequate or insecure. These standards have long been dictated by society through media and entertainment. In other words, they are culturally prescribed ideas and premises. So, we will introduce the concept of a worldview as how members of a culture view the world. Where things like unattainable standards of beauty are, unfortunately, part of these worldviews. Likewise, cultural worldviews can and do factor into video game experiences. That's because gaming audiences come from all over the world and are influenced by so many different cultures. Said differently, the gaming community is not a mythical place unaffected by mainstream culture and society. Gamers also aren't an isolated population. Rather, a game community can attract people from certain cultural backgrounds, where the related gaming behaviors can provide an opportunity to express bias. They are not the source of bias, however. The good news is game experiences aren't just a passive window into biases. They can also positively impact how people see themselves and others. For example, a study published in the November 2014 Games for Health journal suggested that gameplay can reduce implicit bias by effectively inducing empathy. So, to illustrate an effective gaming strategy that accounts for both sides, let's unpack Dove's Real Beauty extension into gaming. In 2022, Dove launched Real Virtual Beauty. Since, according to research from Dove, 60% of teen girls began gaming by age 10. 74% of girls wish characters in video games looked more like women in real life. And 62% of women feel misrepresented in gaming. So, Real Virtual Beauty committed to building a global character art collection that better represents female characters in virtual worlds. Game developers will be able to access the collection, free of charge. The initiative also includes an online course designed to educate developers, creators and artists about beauty and diversity in gaming. Real beauty is relevant in gaming because the same cultural worldviews which negatively impact beauty representations in mainstream media and entertainment also affect the virtual realm. That's important because just like Evo won recognition as a mainstream cultural ritual, video game characters can become pop culture icons. So, it's especially important for in-game representations to avoid perpetuating harmful bias. To demonstrate, in 2024, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTA, revealed that Lara Croft, star heroine of the Tomb Raider franchise, topped their top 20 list of video game characters. Since her in-game debut in 1996, Lara Croft has appeared in over 15 game titles, 3 films, multiple novelizations and comic book adaptations, plus a planned Netflix animated series. However, Lara has also been central in claims that female video game characters are largely created as objects of male fantasy, as opposed to relatable feminine representations. Since, in her earliest incarnations, Lara sported a skin-tight tank top highlighting a chest as wide as her hips and khaki short shorts. Once again, unrealistic beauty expectations for women neither start nor end in gaming. Instead, they are cultural products. Outside of gaming, a study published in the 2019 edition of the Evolutionary Behavioral Sciences also found that Disney princesses have extremely small waist-to-hip ratios that are nearly impossible to achieve naturally. That means Dove is not only leveling up playable experiences by providing tools for healthier and more diverse beauty representations. It is also using gaming to amplify Real Beauty's overall mission of boosting self-esteem and confidence for all women. That's possible because video games are fluid experiences that brands and marketers can not only spark conversations about, but also shape to a certain degree. The ability to shape game experiences is important because they also impact worldviews. Where Dove is tapping into video game characters as in-game touchpoints. Since they are not only prominent parts of a game's playable experience, but they can also serve as cultural symbols and heroes that impact how people see themselves in the world. For instance, Lara Croft's early origins were, as Adrian Smith, one of her creators, described in a 2000 interview, frail, someone you'll want to protect and nurture. Over 20 years later, she is being reframed as a feminist icon. One which Brianna Wu, a former game developer and former congressional candidate, said in a 2018 Vox interview, "I know I identify fiercely with her, and I'm not the only one." Now, let's review an example of why neglecting to consider worldviews like these is a strategic mistake for gaming marketing activities. In summer 2020, League of Legends developer Riot Games ended its partnership with proposed $500 billion Saudi Arabian city Neom. The partnership between the futuristic city and the League of Legends European Championship, LEC, ended just a day after its announcement. Mostly due to significant criticism from the entire League of Legends community. Since throughout the day of its announcement, everyone from Riot Games employees, League of Legends esports personnel, and fans spoke out against the partnership on social media. The main issue was Saudi Arabia's poor history of human rights violations. A history linked to claims that at least 20,000 members of an indigenous tribe faced eviction so Neom could be built. Others also pointed out the irony of Riot Games posting the announcement while displaying her LGBTQ pride-themed Twitter avatar, given the treatment of LGBTQ people in Saudi Arabia. In other words, Neom's presence did not resonate with the cultural worldview of many in the League of Legends community. Ones which prize inclusion and freedom of expression. Keep in mind that some did not oppose the partnership. Since, once again, people bring different worldviews to game communities. However, the backlash was strong enough that Riot had to quickly reverse course. This instance exemplifies that even though video games are typically off limits for politics, religion and so forth, people still experience games through their worldviews, which are inevitably tied to things like political and religious viewpoints. An effective gaming strategy considers how well a brand's message and/or presence resonates with target audience worldviews, as a result. Now, let's review key concepts and models covered in this module. A worldview is a set of culturally prescribed ideas and premises. Worldviews, unfortunately, contain bias which affect how people experience video games. Likewise, people instrumental to game experiences introduce bias. For instance, Lara Croft's creators infused her early depictions with their own bias. She, and the early Tomb Raider game titles, simply reflected that bias. Dove's Real Virtual Beauty is relevant in gaming for the same reason, since it addresses unrealistic beauty standards in video games, where those standards are not an intractable feature. Rather, game experiences are flexible. That means marketers have an opportunity to positively shape them and, by doing so, influence worldviews. That said, worldviews aren't just the source of bias. As Neom's cancelled partnership with Riot Games demonstrated, they can as easily consist of positive views of the world, where the League of Legends community quickly spoke against the partnership based on values like inclusivity and human freedoms. Either way, effective marketing strategies must consider the cultural worldviews of target gaming audiences. Otherwise, the message and/or brand risks a black eye. This concludes the third module of the Marketer's Guide to Gaming Culture. Please check out more learning content to continue your journey with the Gaming Marketing Institute. That way you can level up your career or business through gaming marketing. Once again, thank you, and goodbye.